Hi, today I'm going to show you how to do a quick way of boxing out a I-beam using leftover scrap steel studs. Gives it a low profile look. You don't have to make ladders. Takes just a little bit of time. I'll show you right now. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the track. I'm going to put a Tek screw here. I'm going to put another Tek screw down on the other side up high. And what that's going to do is once the Tek screw is through, it's going to give me a spot for the I-beam to grab onto when it's up there. I put a scrap piece of stud in between the track to keep the end from folding when I put my Tek screw in. It was tough to do with one hand, so I paused it and you can see the Tek screw goes through. So with my Tek screws now on both sides, it holds it up there kind of like a hinge, almost like a pivot. So what I can do now then is drop on back to the front side. I can lift it up to the I-beam. And as you can see, I have the screw up there on this side here. I can just kind of hook it in. And I'll put another screw on the other side there. And what's going to happen is it's going to support my I-beam to go on the second phase. Okay, I have all 4 screws in now, and so it's basically resting up there by the Tek screws that I put in here. One of the things to make sure that you do when you put these Tek screws in is you want to have them more towards the top edge to give you a gap on the back side here. And the reason that is when you put your bottom piece of drywall on, you're going to want to have a space for the screw to go. If you have this Tek screw here down low, well, it would rest up here, and you have no gap now for your drywall screw to go in. It would go right into the iron itself. So you want to make sure that on all 4 sides you have your Tek screw here, so that way you have that little bit of gap, and now it's sitting up there for us. Next will be putting on eye joists. So one of the reasons that this works so well is because of the spacing of the eye joists that I have here. As you can see, it's about 3 5/8 roughly, which happens to be almost exactly the same dimension as the track, which is why the track fits up there so well. So the actual dimension of the beam comes into play here. As you can see, I have about a 7/all overall span for my joists. The inside of my beam here sits at about 6.5, but both sides here taper on end. So if I was just to put a piece of steel on there, it wouldn't work without me fabricating it a little bit. I'll show you exactly what the fabricated cuts look like now. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to grab one of these pieces of scrap stud that I have laying around from all my framing that I have here. These are actually the tops of it, so this is what I'm going to use for all the parts. So this is going to be the first mark that I'm going to make. It's going to be a little bit slanted. I have it on both sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to cut this. So this is what it looks like cut. As you can see, it's got kind of like a lip there, and it's slanted. The reason it needs to be slanted is because when this piece fits into the I-beam, that's the part that's tapered. This little lip here is going to be the part that sits outside of the iron, and you'll see how this all goes together. So my next mark on this here is going to be what the overall I-beam was, which was 7. So I measured from the front all the way to the back to 7. That's going to be my second mark. I then take the 7 and I put it over onto the sides, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut a straight line on this side. I now have a cut on both sides, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bend it over that center line, that 7-inch line. Now that as you can see the pieces bent over, I have my lip side over here with a taper. I have my back side at 7, and I have to make one more taper on this end over here. Okay, so I have my 2 tapered cuts. Now what I'm going to do with these little ends hanging off here is I'm just going to break them off. And this is what the finished piece ends up looking like. So I have my lip side, taper, taper, another lip, in a top fold part. You're going to see how this all goes in right now. Okay, so this is how the install goes. The piece that I've cut here, as you can see, it's got the bottom lip here. This bottom lip is going to essentially just rest against the bottom piece of the stud there, or of the I-beam. with that resting against the part of the I-beam there too. This tapered spot here is going to end up going on my stud. So you can see exactly how this is going to work. You take it, shove it in. I got a strap here, unfortunately, from the conduit there, of course. Put it in, and it's going to fit right into place here. And now what we do is we're going to end up putting a screw through here. We're going to raise this up just enough to grab onto the bottom part of the stud here. Put a screw through here, a screw through here, and it's going to be solid. Okay, and this is what the finished product looks like. 2 hex screws sitting on the bottom. I have 1 wood screw going through the top. And as you can see, it is solid. Bottom track, until I do the other side though, is going to sit there and it's going to sit solid. It's going to allow you to go across and have your drywall sit flat, basically flush to what the I-beam would be. You're going to have a bottom plate there because you spaced it out for the bottom part of your drywall to go across the I-beam, and then you'll do the same to the back side. It seems to be working for me.